I was locked inside my room and threatened to be kicked out at the age of 16 by my stepfather because I refused to sign over my inheritance from my late mother into his name. I wasn't going to do it, but then, luckily, my aunt. She came to my rescue and she threatened my stepfather with this. One of the most heartfelt breaking things in life is to love the people who do not love you. And it gets worse if these people pretend to love you because of the things they intend to gain from you, right? After my mother passed, I learned the shocking truth about the man I believed was my father, and this truth altered many things in my life. My childhood days were the best I've ever had, and that was because both of my bio parents were there. I was only 9 years of age when my father passed, and after he died, my life did not really remain the same. I loved him so much, and until now, I still carry a small photo of us in my wallet. I wasn't the one that was badly affected by my father's demise, though. My late mother and the rest of my family were, but my late mother took the hit the most. Despite being emotionally down, she tried her best to take care of me, and most times, she would take up the responsibility of a father on some occasions. A year after my father's demise, my mom met someone named Alex. You see, Alex was a divorcee and a bit younger than my late dad, but he sounded almost just like him. In fact, their voices were so identical that if someone did not see him while he spoke, one would think it was my late dad speaking. Because of this, from the first time Alex visited our house, I liked him instantly, and we got along very well. After months of dating, my late mom and Alex married, and he moved in with us because our house was large and more comfortable, and we became a big, happy family. My late mom often told me that one of the things that attracted her to Alex was his voice. She believed Alex was an angel and sent to her by my late father to comfort us, and I agreed too. While my late mother was still alive, Alex was literally the best. He took care of my mom and me, treated us with so much love, and as the years passed, I even forgot my biological father was late, because he became the perfect father figure in my life. He made me feel like I was the only kid in the whole world, and I trusted him so much. Aside from that, he made my late mom so happy, and those moments were very satisfying to see. For 6 years, Alex and my late mom were married, and we lived like every other regular family. My mom did not want another child and insisted that she wanted to take good care of me and give me the perfect life. Unfortunately, after 4 years of being married to Alex, my late mom fell sick for almost 2 years. And a few months before she passed, I noticed that there was some kind of friction between Alex and my mom. But they refused to talk about us. Somehow I suspected that they were acting that way because Alex was having an affair. In the previous weeks, I had seen him sneak out to take phone calls, and from the way he spoke, smiled, and just gestured on his phone, I could tell it was not a business call. When their coldness towards each other grew out of hand, I politely confronted him about it and told him about my suspicion, but he swore up and down he would never do such a thing to my mom, especially not in her sickly state, and I took his word and never brought it up again. I believed he loved my mother and would not do anything to hurt her like he claimed, but I guess I was wrong. 7 months ago, my late mother passed away, and her demise opened the wound I tried to heal for oh so many years. It was one of the toughest moments of my life, especially because of how she died, and I was going through so much both mentally and emotionally, and after her burial I was a bit distant from Alex, my stepdad, because I needed time to heal and get myself together. Losing 2 parents and watching as their caskets were lowered into the ground is the worst thing ever. It's the worst form of tragedy any child can experience, and I had to deal with all of that. After my mom was finally buried, I noticed a couple changes there in Alex, but I did not even think it was a big deal. Initially, I thought it was his own way of grieving, but as time passed, it became more of a habit. Alex started sleeping out of the house and would return the next morning covered in a woman's cologne. On the nights I wanted to talk to him to be comforted, he was nowhere to be found, and even if I called, he would assure me that he'd be coming home and would end up sleeping out again. Weeks passed, and Alex got worse and worse. We became so distant that I did not even know him anymore. At that moment in our lives, I had expected that our bond would grow us stronger and that we would be there to comfort each other as a family, but I was left to handle my emotions by myself. Eventually, my mother's will was read, and I found out she willed her estate to me and some other things, and the only thing she left Alex was her favorite expensive scarf. When the will was read, I did not understand why my late mother did not leave Alex something better or monetary, but now that I've written this story, I do understand why. Indeed, my late mom knew Alex was cheating on her before she passed away, which explained her sudden coldness and change of attitude towards him. I'm even guessing she did not want to hurt my feelings, and that's why she refused to tell me about it. And she took it out on him by giving him a scarf. This might sound a bit funny, but it isn't. It even sounds like a joke at first, until we found out it was not a joke. Unexpectedly, Alex's attitude towards me changed immediately. He found out my late mother had willed me her estate and other things worth thousands of dollars. Within a twinkle of an eye, he became the Alex I used to know, and he tried everything possible to rebuild the bond that we used to share. It felt kind of forced, but because I was in a terrible emotional state, and I yearned for my father, I did not give him a tough time. We tried to work things out, and I still had a soft spot for him, but after a few weeks of our reconciliation, he did the unexpected. That day, I was in my room reminiscing about the past when Alex came to tell me he had a girlfriend and wanted her to move in with us. I had always been somewhat of a calm kid, and even before telling me, I bet he knew I would say it was okay, even though it wasn't. The news of his girlfriend came as a shock to me because I was not really expecting him to meet someone so fast. It had only been a few months since my mother has passed away at this point, and we were still mourning. Me especially. He seemed to move on quickly, but I could not, and I tried so hard, but I just could not move on that fast. In my late mom's case, it took her a year plus, and a lot of persuasion to open her heart to Alex when she met him. In fact, if she had her way, she might not have remarried because she loved my father so much. But she didn't want to take away my opportunity to have someone I could look up to as a father. Just as I was trying to wrap my head around him, bringing his girlfriend home, he told me that they were getting married that following week, and that he was doing it all because of me. It was at that moment that it dawned on me that he had, someone all along. And my suspicions were right the whole time, but he lied to my face. According to Alex, he was getting married so he could give me someone to look after me like a mother, and he explained that it was only in my best of interest. I wish. I felt so betrayed and let down that he was remarrying so darn quickly, and he did not even give me enough time to properly grieve. He did not care about how I felt at the time, but I never said it out loud. Eventually, I met Alex's girlfriend, Catherine, a pretty blonde woman in her early 30s, and they got married the following week. Just as he had told me. The first few months that Catherine moved in with me, she was so good to me. She would do my laundry, clean my room, and cook for me. She tried her best to get close to me and comfort me, and she explained that she was not trying to take my mother's place because she knew my mother was absolutely irreplaceable. But she was only trying to look out for me and care for me like a mother should. Her hearing this made me feel so comfortable around her because I felt she understood me. As a result of me feeling comfortable with her, I began to loosen up and gradually accepted her as my new stepmother, and daily we got closer to each other, although I still felt like my stepfather betrayed me and married his girlfriend, and I did not brood over it anymore because of all the love and kindness Catherine had shown me. For a while, I started feeling like I was with my family again, and it helped me move on faster than I expected. There was so much love, happiness, and joy between us, or so I thought. Alex and my new stepmother were so kind to me, and I felt at peace and believed I had a family that would always love and support me. And in case anything happened in the future, I could always fall back on them. But as time passed, I realized I had gone ahead of myself, and none of the things I envisioned for our little happy family were ever going to happen. Exactly 2 months after I embraced my new family and was starting to come out of my shell, Alex began to say things like, "With the right resources, I'll take good care of you, and you'll have nothing to worry about." And I did not think there was anything wrong with that until, he started hinting that I should go ahead and sign over the estate my late mother had willed to me, to him, because he would manage it well and take care of my future plans with it. When it all started, it sounded like a suggestion, or would I say, cues. But it got to the point where he mentioned it every single day. Even Catherine joined in talking about it, and when they finally had the courage to come out plain, I told them I would do such a thing. When I told them I was not signing over the estate to Alex, they told me to take some time, think about it properly. They even tried to convince me that it was the right thing to do, since Alex was my father and he was more experienced with handling properties than I would be in the next 20 years. Deep down, I knew there was nothing to think about, and I did not understand why Alex wanted me to sign over the estate to him. It was my late mother's most expensive possession, and she had her reasons for wanting it from me and not for him. To me, it was not about taking care of it or making money out of it. It was my treasure, and I believed my late mother wanted me to have it so I could make good use of it and possibly pass it down to her grandchildren. The second time they asked about my decision, my answer had not changed, and they were not pleased with my response. They tried to persuade me to change my mind, and they even gave me a dozen more reasons why signing over my estate to Alex was a great idea, but I did not fall for that. As pure-minded as I was, I expected that they would just stop talking about it after I said no 2 times. I didn't know my stubbornness would cause a change in their attitude towards me, and I was not expecting that at all. The next day, after we had the conversations at night, I woke up to a different set of step-parents. Alex had changed completely, and I would never believe he could talk to me or treat me so terribly. On the other hand, Catherine changed too. She became so harsh and stopped doing the things that she used to do for me. I was literally on my own, and as if the change in attitude was not enough, they began to threaten me with signing over my inheritance to them. I didn't fall for any of their threats because I thought that they were bluffing, but in a matter of time, I realized they were not bluffing. In my presence, they would come up with a ton of things that they would do to me if I refused to sign over the estate to Alex. I had never missed any of my parents like I missed them during that time of my life. Alex and Catherine made life absolutely miserable for me, and one time they locked me up in my room for a whole week and gave me only a limited amount of food to survive. When it became unbearable for me, I broke my bedroom window and escaped. I managed to alert the police and tell them about everything that had been going on, but in the end, it was let down. They failed to provide the protection that I needed. Actually, they took me back home to confirm if I'd been held against my will. Like I said, but my step-parents acted like they were thrilled to see me. They told the police I had run away from home, and they had been looking for me, and the police believed them because they were having a lot of cases about teenagers running away from home in the town that I lived in. And it was pretty normal. So they literally delivered me to my parents, did a quick inspection of our house and the room I mentioned, and there was absolutely no sign of me being held against my will. It turned out that Catherine had cleaned my room, and only God knows what they did with the broken window in just a few hours. I expected that my step-parents would be mad at the whole police involvement, but they weren't. They apologized for acting the way that they did, and continued to act like everything was fine. I knew that they were afraid of being sued for child abuse, and I used that to my advantage. 2 weeks after I returned home, believing they would stop their estate madness, their threats began again. They called me names, said all kinds of nasty things to me, tried to emotionally manipulate me, and so much more. But none of it worked. At one point, I almost gave in because I thought it was better to have my family back than to, own some pieces of land and houses. But I realized that they did not love me as much as I loved them, and they would probably keep treating me like some piece of trash after they got what they wanted. Eventually, they got so desperate and frustrated that they threatened to throw me out of the home if I did not sign over the estate to them. And when I poured out my mind, I was kicked out and all of my belongings were thrown out as well. I cannot take all of my stuff because I didn't even have a place to stay. And they blatantly told me I had no home with them since I chose the estate over them, aka my family. Right now, I'm crashing at home at, one of my late mother's friend's house. And I can't help but wonder to you guys, am I the a-hole? Why I did not sign over my estate to my stepdad? I didn't think it would be a good idea and get to this point. I'm so lost and confused right now, and I simply need your advice. Update number 1. Hello, everyone. And thank you for your comments and advice. I never knew I was dealing with an entitled, manipulative family member. At least I did not think of it that way. To be honest, the first time my stepdad started hinting that he wanted me to sign over my estate so he could help me manage it, I thought that he had good intentions, but as their persuasion became intense and desperation set in, it felt like they forcefully wanted to take it from me, and it did not feel right. Some of you are saying, my stepdad never loved me and he just pretended to want to fix the relationship with me after he found out nothing of importance was willed to him. Aside from my late mother's favorite scarf, and I think you're all right. It explains why he showed his true colors after I refused to sign over my inheritance to him. One time, he even mentioned that he was mad that my late mom willed some money to her friend because she stood by her all throughout her months of sickness. So, anywho, that aside, last week I had a crash at my late mom's friend's house, and she was very worried that my stepdad, who seemed very, very nice in the eyes of the public, treated me like crap. And since she was close friends of my late mother and father while they were alive, she reached out to my paternal elderly aunt Elizabeth, who lived in a neighboring state. 2 days ago, my paternal aunt arrived to see me, and the last time I saw her was at my mother's burial. We didn't really talk much. I was not close to my paternal family because my dad passed away a long time ago, and we only saw each other at the important family occasions, which my mother barely attended. Long story short, when my Aunt Elizabeth came and heard about all the things Alec and Catherine had done to me, she was livid. She was also shocked that Alex could treat me terribly and still try to emotionally manipulate me into signing over my estate to him. Without wasting time, she took me with her, and as I write this update, I'm at her house. Personally, I wanted some space and time away from Alex and my stepmother, and I did not even think about pressing charges for all that they have done to me, but Elizabeth insisted that we must sue them for abuse and holding me against my will. I hadn't even forgotten that she was a retired lawyer, and she has assured me she'll get me the best lawyer to represent me in court. All of this while it never occurred to me that the house Alex and Catherine lived in had been willed to me. Yet they kicked me out of my own house, and Elizabeth has promised to give Alex and Catherine a taste of their own medicine. Update number 2. Hey everyone, your comments are so heartwarming. Yes, you're all right. I'm still in shock and Alex could treat me like this after all the years that we spent together, and I looked up to him as a father figure. Deep down, I wish he would come to his senses and apologize wholeheartedly for all the things that he had, and I would even believe him if he told me Catherine manipulated him. I guess that's what love does, is give you a weakness. I made the last update about 2 weeks ago, and it took me a while to make this one because we had to find a perfect lawyer for me. The good news is that we found one, and Alex and Catherine have been served already. I went with my aunt's lawyer last week, and the shock on their faces was actually epic. They tried to act all nice, like saints, who could not harm a fly, but my aunt could see through their pretense. When they realized I was suing them in open court, Alex got mad and said all sorts of things to me. He said I was ungrateful and I paid back his good with evil. He claimed he was nothing but good to me, but I did not appreciate any of it. And I was a selfish child because I thought about no one but myself. It really hurt to hear all that because honestly, none of that was true. I did nothing to them. Yet I was treated like a slave and locked up as a prisoner, and after we left I felt so terrible. And it affected my mood for the whole day. Later that day, I started receiving threats in text message form from Alex, and one of the text messages he said he would make my life absolutely miserable. And he even said something about him not being my father. Because if he were truly my father, I would not take legal action against him, and at this point, I am just done feeling bad. I want him to pay. I want him to pay for everything, including the pain and heartache he caused my late mother before she passed. I want him to pay for it, and hopefully he will learn that it's all shades of wrong to enter a marriage with the intention of lying and manipulating the person to give in to your demands. To even think that my mother spent a lot of money on Alex. She helped him open a business, took him to fancy restaurants, and funded his expensive lifestyle just because she loved him. The court hearing has been scheduled for the next 5 days, and I will make another update as soon as I return. However, things turn out, I'm glad for the support that I've gotten here, and, well, I've received from these amazing people on this platform. Thank you so much. Update number 3. Hello, everyone. I appreciate your positivity. Thank you for that. Well, I know I said I would make another update when I return from court, but this simply cannot wait. I have never been so humiliated in my entire life, and it hurts that it came from the man I once called my father. 2 days ago, I got a notification from Facebook that I'd been tagged in a post, and when I checked, it was Alex. I was surprised because we were not on good terms, and it did not feel right. Out of curiosity, I checked what he had tagged me with, and it was my picture. I know I did not share this earlier, but I have to. During the period that my mom passed away, I became very depressed, and I tried to hurt myself. Twice. Before her burial and after her burial, and the first time was not so serious, but oh boy, the second time was. I was so lonely that hurting myself felt like the right thing to do, and thankfully, I did not bleed to death. When this happened, Alex got me help, and I was told it happened because I was in a terrible emotional state and a couple of other things. The picture Alex posted on Facebook was a picture of me in the hospital with bandages on my 2 wrists. He took this picture after I hurt myself the second time, and my eyes were swollen from crying the whole while. Then he wrote something about me being mentally unstable and how my parents' demise had affected my sense of reasoning. He also added something about how I had recently been talking about things that never happened and that he was simply worried about me. The post attracted a lot of commenters from people who knew me. They sympathized with Alex for his loss, and they had even recommended professional help that he could take me to in order to get it. Even Catherine commented that she loved me so darn much, but she was worried that I was, quote, losing it as a result of losing both of my parents at such a very young age. Out of anger, I showed the post and picture to Elizabeth, and she was so mad. She said Alex and Catherine knew what they were trying to do and advised me not to respond or say anything to them. I haven't said anything since then. I haven't felt so stupid and naked in my whole life. I mean, why on earth would Alex post a thing like that on social media? There's nothing wrong with me, and I don't need anyone's pity. I'll admit that I tried to hurt myself because it felt like the right thing to do at the time. And I just believed that I needed to feel some sort of pain. But it's different now, guys. It's totally different. I have my regrets and hate him for doing that to me, and a father is meant to protect his child and hide him or her from prying eyes, but I've learnt the hard way that he was never my father. It was only a one-sided relationship. Update number 4. Hey guys, I have some good news for you, and I'm so thrilled to share that I won the case. Truly, my Aunt Elizabeth hired the best lawyer, and I have gotten the justice I deserve. First of all, Alex and Catherine have been ordered to move out of the house, and they'll be serving a little bit of time in prison for holding me against my will and threatening to make my life absolutely miserable. But that's not all. My lawyer mentioned their post the previous day, and even the judge was mad. In the beginning, they denied ever locking me in my room or maltreating me. They told the judge the same story they told the police, that I had run away from home. The judge asked if they had filed a police complaint, and they said no, which even angered the judge more. Sincerely, Alex and Catherine were perfect liars. It was almost like they recited their lines word for word, and no matter how much the judge tried to crack a find in their lies, she could not. What they didn't know was that after things turned out the way that it did with the police, I knew I had to make my evidence just in case they locked me up again. I started recording our conversations. All the abuse, all the harsh words from the last 2 weeks. Before I was thrown out of the house, it was all recorded. There was even a part where Alex said no one would believe me if I reported that they had locked me up because I had no evidence. And he said they could do whatever they liked. So, it was Alex's words on his downfall. It was his words against him. When I told the judge I had everything right here on my phone, she asked to hear it. Already, my lawyer and aunt assured me the audio recording would give us the upper hand, and it did. I played the recording for the judge, and as soon as she heard it, she passed judgment immediately. Even Alex and Catherine were shocked to hear the voices. Now they'll be spending quality time in a jail cell, and my inheritance is safe with me. About the post Alex made, he's been ordered to take it down, and he'll be paying a fine for defamation of character. I feel so relieved, and I don't see this justice for only myself. It's also justice for my late mother. Well, who loved Alex more than she loved her life, yet he betrayed her. For now, I think it's better to keep living with my aunt. I can't imagine going back to live in my mom's house alone. And besides, the last memories I have there are not memories I want to remember. I might think of leasing the rooms out, rent later, but for now I just want to rest because the last couple of months have been a roller coaster for me, and I'm so grateful to the people in my life who made it all possible. No amount of words can express how I feel. Thank you, everyone. I'm open to suggestions on how to forget about everything and start life a fresh slate. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say, if it wasn't for these recordings that OP had, well, I don't think that they would have won in court. I mean, that was some very incriminating evidence, and lucky for OP, well, OP had all that on the phone. So let me guys know exactly what you thought about this story, how you would have gone about handling it, would you have done something differently, and knowing that OP's mother passes, and everything that we learned at the end of the story, do you think a bit of justice was served? Drop your comments down below in the comment section, guys. This story was a wild roller coaster of emotions, but I do want to hear from you exactly what you would have done and who you think the a-hole of the story is. So drop your comments down below. Once again, my name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. If you want more daily videos, stop by tomorrow, see what we're up to. I'll catch you guys then. And remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.